In Kingdom's latest chapter, the Han Royal Court has been sent into a frenzy. With the first day of the conquest of Han complete, in their first battle, Qin has earned a decisive victory over Han. I wouldn't say this chapter is as epic as others recently, but there are still a couple of things to talk about. Whether it's Rakur Khan's fate and role moving forward, Princess Nei's next moves in retaliation to this outcome, or the implications of such an overwhelming victory by Qin regarding the fate of Han, as a state and as a people. So, Kingdom Chapter 830. Let's break it down. To begin with, it can't be denied. Qin slaying Hakuokoku while suffering no major losses on their side is why it is Qin's decisive victory. Also, Rakur Khan being forced to retreat to the Tosa Plains despite there being a chance to defeat To because of Shin's feat. Yoko knew it would be a gamble to try. What does this mean for Han? Well, the entire Han Royal Court right now is chaotic to say the least. Despite their highest in command, Chancellor Cho remaining calm, everybody else, no matter how elite, is panicking. This is clearly not the time for them to be making, frankly, a decision that will determine the fate of their kingdom. Doesn't matter. All blame is being placed on the Chancellor. The once most respected individual in Han, bar the king, is now losing all of his clout and the trust of the court. People like Raboku and Osa know this all too well. A kingdom can easily destroy itself if led by those that are unworthy or simply incompetent. As a result, all of this infighting should inevitably end up with Han shooting itself in the foot. All that needs to happen for Qin to win is for all of these issues to mess up the communication between the royal court and those on the front lines. In other words, unable to agree on anything. Rakur Khan will be confused on how to act next while trying to please everyone. To will without a doubt take advantage of this. I don't know about you guys, sometimes I forget that Rakur Khan doesn't have the same level of freedom as To. For all we know, only the 6 great generals of Qin have full freedom to operate. The other titles for the other military tandems could be just to show everyone who exactly represents their military might. Rakur Khan has to listen to orders. He doesn't have the special freedom to freely wage war. Let's talk about Princess Nei. Instead of staying to observe like To suggested, she is seen on her way to Shinte, supposedly right after To left for the battlefield. This is all too certain after seeing her shock upon receiving the news that Hakuokoku was killed. So it seems like Nei did not want to give surrender even a single thought. The arc will be longer than we think if this is the case. Personally, I think Nei will eventually crack if we are to look beyond her words. This chapter only proved that the extended royal family care about no one but themselves. Funnily enough, an attitude that is completely opposite to To, who wishes to save as many Han lives as possible. For Nei to be this proactive while the Han King can't even muster the voice and vigor to comfort his own people is embarrassing. At least Nei is trying to prepare the women. The Han King is acting like he has no fight in him, no resolve. I would give him a pass if he's trying to cook up something while in thought, but he's helplessly watching his royal court tear each other apart as if it were a debate between Sei's faction and Ryofui's faction all over again. Something that I just found out is that back in ancient China, I think most people in the court had some type of royal blood. This is relevant because Han losing Hakuokoku has resulted in 2 distinct factions. The King's faction, or rather the royal faction, and the Cho faction. Of course, it is the royal faction that wants to recall Rakur Khan back to Shinte to defend the capital as a last stand. I mean, their reasoning isn't crazy. The thought process is, how could we win on the same terrain where we just lost? The idea here is to change the chessboard completely, to change the game from a game of ground battle to a game of siege. Still, I doubt the royal faction is thinking that far. Most likely they're just scared and want their greatest asset to be as close to them as possible. Conversely, the Cho faction still believes that Rakur Khan can turn it around. Think about it. If Rakur Khan can defeat them at the Tosa Plains, Qin wouldn't even get close to Shinte. The hilarious thing is that Cho himself doesn't necessarily agree with either party. He remains his rational self, saying that there are multiple options to consider and that they must reevaluate their current situation. Nei's reaction says it all. Han's prime minister is someone that can always calm the situation down. Before Nanyo, he did just that. So Cho losing his authority here, failing to reach the hearts of the court with his voice, is not ideal. We bring ourselves to the western reaches of China. A whole different story. Those in Kanyo can finally celebrate a victory. Osen, sunned by Shueisha. Kanki, sunned by Raboku. Finally a W, a rare W. It shows how rare it is by their nervousness as to how many soldiers were lost. This is quickly alleviated by To's words that everything is going more than well. To add on to this victory, let's talk about how Qin can close it out. It's the 4th quarter now. If not, it's the second half. Qin is sure to gain a huge boon because of the chaos within the Han royal court. At first I thought it would have been better if Rakur-kan did have to retreat to Shinte and there was a siege. That was before someone pointed out to me that Shinte is a royal capital. Not only that, the most formidable capital in all of China. That's what Nei said. It is sure to be impregnable, making Gyou look like a toy castle. Also, if Qin had to fight Rakur-kan while sieging Shinte, another state would likely bump up the intensity to surround Qin with a pincer attack. So perhaps it may be better to hope for a second battle on the Tosa Plains, to kill Rakur-kan once and for all, leaving no one to protect the Han capital. Anyway, if you made it to the end, thank you for tuning in. I'd appreciate it if you leave a like and a comment, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more Kingdom videos like this.